Very interesting self-report that Deadline has in this article right here. Let's read the headline and see if you guys can also spot this. Will the 2024 election save television? Political ad spend for Joe Biden, Donald Trump rematch will likely find broadcast and cable swimming in cash. Did you guys spot that? There's a couple of things that you could glean from that. But what I'm figuring out is, you know that writers and actors strike that was going on for kind of the better part of 6 months that just recently wrapped up. Number one, there's not going to be a lot of new content coming out. There's going to be a ripple effect. And if you're also old enough to remember the last time that there was a writer's strike in the late 2000s, I think 2008 or something like that, it definitely had a downstream effect. But also, at the same time, something that immediately popped to mind for me, wow, there's a bunch of crap on television. So TV in and of itself kind of relies on politics, and that's why you're seeing, and it's especially been exposed over the past few years, certainly, but I guess you'd have to kind of cast your mind back. Over the past decade, there has been an obvious infusion of politics. I could also argue that it's gone on a lot longer than that, 30 years at this point in time. It's just gone hot, more overt, as opposed to their covert subversion that's been out there for a while, but television is in danger, and that's why they need Trump to be back in the ratings. As much as they stumped for Biden in 2020, secretly they wanted Trump around, and now they're kind of getting the best of both worlds, but they're also reaping what they sowed with those absolutely abhorrent contract demands in Hollywood. So let's see what they have right here. If current polls are to be believed, the American voters are looking with a sense of dread at a rematch between Biden and Trump. I love the way, this is not the first, and it's not and it's highly likely that it won't be the last article that has, Biden and Trump, they're both just so terrible. You take a look at approval ratings, and they're both just right. They're just both right in the toilet. No. There's Trump supporters that are out there. And then there are people that voted for Joe Biden, alive and dead. Trump supporters are looking forward to 2024. People that are not at all happy with the current trajectory of the United States of America, and hell, even the Western world at large, are very much looking forward to 2024. So to just go ahead and say, no, we're just looking forward with it, no, it's just dread. Is this the best that the political class could do? No, there's actually somebody that's right there that's a very obvious choice, and things were tangibly better across the board with one of them in charge over the other. There's nobody else on the Democratic bench that could come forward and have any of the answers that would lead to a better economy, standing in the world. Any marker that you want to look at, plugging in a Michelle Obama, Gavin Newsom, AOC, the socialist corpse of Bernie Sanders, none of them is going to be any better than Joe Biden is. If you think that Kamala Harris cackling the shots from the Oval Office would be so much better than Joe Biden, I got news for you. You've got brain damage. Whereas you could just simply take a look at any of the economic tent poles that you had under Donald Trump, and you could absolutely say for certain 2017 through 2019, because 2020 was basically shut down by the governors, and Trump was hamstrung. Those 3 years have been so much better than the 3 full years of Joe Biden, because Christ almighty, we're actually getting up to that point. Wow, that went by fast, and it was bad. Yet widely anticipated as the most expensive election in the nation's history. Another cycle of bitter and polarized politics. Has that changed? We're still living into that right now. So what's up with this revisionism? Maybe exactly the bottom line boost that TV broadcasters and cable networks need, facing ongoing labor uncertainty as SAG-AFTRA continues to negotiate with Hollywood studios to end its 90-day strike. And it really looks like, they're getting down, at least at the time of recording, they're getting down to consistent days of negotiating. So that's going to be wrapping up relatively soonish. Continues to negotiate with Hollywood studios, end its 90-day strike and batter the eroding ratings, rumors of potential sales or consolidation, months of writers on the picket line, and the perception of inevitable decline. You're just going to go ahead and try to sneak that in right there at the end. The media that's being pumped out over the past, I would argue, couple of decades doesn't even come close to stacking up to any of its former output, and that's just not me being an old head. What film or even the set of films, could you go ahead and stack up to the output of, hell, I would say even the 2000s, definitely the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, when there were some classic films that were coming out, like the early 2000s had the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The late 2010s had the Disney Star Wars trilogy. I think that you can see a marked difference between the two. But anyways, that plus lucrative campaigns for control of the Senate and the House and a bevy of state races could result in something akin to a well-timed bailout. Oh wow, Hollywood is going to get bailed out by the government. Stop me if you've heard that before. This is going to be like the Super Bowl. No, but all the way to November. That's why you're hearing all of this big ramp up to 2024. All the speculation, why it's starting so quickly. Who's the demographic that votes? The over 55s. That's our viewers. That's why everyone is going to pay to reach them. Nexstar, the largest station owner in the United States, has talked up political spending in the recent earnings call, noting political ad spending projections of up to $11 billion in the 2024 cycle compared to $9 billion during the 2022 midterms. Interesting. Wow. Okay, that's quite a lot. Even with, shitty Biden inflation, that doesn't even come close to equaling up. But I'd imagine it could even be more than that. But okay, Nexstar's Tom Carter told investors the company is highly optimistic about the growth in political advertising. Yes, of course. But then also on the cable news shows, they'll talk about, just all the mudslinging and the polarization. So see, it's kind of a self-feeding machine that we have. Positioning, yes. The extraordinarily well-positioned to take share in dollars both locally and nationally. That positioning is taking effect 12 months before the Americans vote. Yeah, we're coming up on that 12 months. Holy man. Having already trolled the two GOP presidential primary debates on Fox with ads, Biden's re-election campaign, co-chaired by Jeffrey Katzenberg, color me shocked, launched a new 4-month, $25 million ad push last week, starting with the John Goodman narrated Never Left. I'm sorry, what? What? Oh my God. Emphasizing Biden's middle-class roots. Yes, exactly. Is this the story he likes to tell about, I grew up in Scranton? You were there for like 2 months and then you pieced out to Delaware. Come on now. The marketing of the incumbent intends to aim at cable news and broadcast TV networks with the presence during NFL games of various networks alongside the likes of The Golden Bachelor and Dancing with the Stars. The Golden Bachelor? Is that like Jack Nicklaus's dating show or what? The Biden-Trump redux already looking likely with a little more than a year before the election. The big bucks are coming in amid an otherwise soft advertising market. Oh, interesting. So the only thing that Hollywood is good at bigging up right now is an election. Interesting. Coupled with the hotly contested Senate campaigns and pricey markets like California, what's hotly contested about that? Arizona and Pennsylvania. Oh, okay. I didn't know about Pennsylvania, but okay. And you have the small screen Lifeline, at least for the next year. Television is kind of weak in general. Oof. So with political advertising growing, it becomes a bigger percentage of the total every cycle, said Brian Weiser, principal at media consultancy Madison and Wall and former lead analyst at Group M. Broadcasters are still the most concentrated beneficiaries in the media space. It's a big deal. The bottom line is that they are dying for this money. They need it. The core business is extremely weak. But just the admittance that television is kind of weak in general, we can tell from the ratings that are out there, okay? As somebody who, I kind of pay attention. I pay attention to some of the sports ratings, more specifically with wrestling, because, as much as I'd like to see wrestling come back and have another boom period like in the late 90s, that shit just isn't fucking panning out at all. You've got Monday Night Raw, which during, those Attitude Era late 90s, they were pulling 6, 7, 8, 9 million people per night. That's just on the WWE side. Okay, I guess it was F at the time. It was the Fed. And then WCW in 97, 98, and then even into 99, they were still pulling that same 7, 8, 9 million viewers. So yeah, on a given night, there was 15, 16 million people watching wrestling. But as of right now, you've got Monday Night Raw pulling 1.5, 2 million viewers on a really good landmark anniversary night. Okay, and then on Fox on Friday, SmackDown's lucky to pull 2 million viewers, and they're heralded as being really good, and they're getting multi-billion-dollar deals for 3, 4, 5 years. Like, what the hell is going on when it comes to television that those are the big gets. Live sports is the only thing that pops a rating right now. Like the Super Bowl still does good numbers. But when it comes to scripted shows, and I'm including reality TV shows now in with that, most people, they're just kind of watching them on their own time, either through DVR functionality or through streaming services. That's why also, and you know, this is another topic for another video, that's why I think YouTube is so ripe to eventually start to flip over and capitulate even harder for mass media and do the full conversion into them too. But like I said, another topic, another time. I've talked about that at length as well. Major broadcast groups have highlighted the potential uptick in political ad spending in their earnings calls. Exactly. So they know. That's why they push all of this politics shit so fucking hard, and that's why it's become so obvious in the past few years, because they know that the shit that they're putting out there is hot fucking garbage. It's all pushing a political agenda. Okay, you can go ahead and pick your show of choice, and it all has some woke talking point or another, or how every villain in every show has been some approximation of Trump over the past, just about decade now. So of course, it's an easy transition that, we need to go ahead and fight against, the big orange man. Orange man's really bad, and we're going to tell you at millions of dollars per minute as to how bad that he actually is. Just really drill it home. Maybe it was a brilliant ploy in 2020 to get their figurehead in there so that they could have 3 uninterrupted Trump election cycles to continue to just churn out the money, not even mentioning, the lesser races and then the midterms as well. Analytical intelligence firm Ad Impact expects political ad spending to reach at least $10.2 billion a cycle across broadcast, cable, radio, satellite, digital, and connected televisions, or free ad-supported TV channels fast. Oh, okay. In Alexandria, Virginia-based companies estimates that would be a 13% increase over the previous record, $9.02 billion through the 1920 cycle. Okay. Wow, that's a big jump. Through August, those Republican wannabes attempt to topple the that's kind of indicting too, but I don't disagree. Much indicted Trump and the snaring of the GOP nomination. Total spending for the candidate and down-ballot campaigns have already reached $652 million, 75% ahead of 2019. Because there was no primary cycle for the Republicans, and Trump was just simply running ads for his Keep America Great campaign. CAG doesn't quite roll off the tongue the same well MAGA does, so that's why that one failed. Well, that and a couple of other things. In overall ad spending, broadcast is by far the biggest chunk, and the share is shrinking. Some 60% of smart TV homes have cut the cord, so they don't necessarily have broadcast TV. That's why I'm worried about the future of YouTube. Not so much that, I'm wondering, oh my god, they're eventually going to take it over. I already know that they are. I just know that it's not going to be good for independent creators. Candidates are never going to want to be on their local news, said Michelle Certo of Sage Media Planning and Placement. Digital gains and political ad spend are more prevalent around cities compared with rural areas. Exactly, they take all those rubes for granted. According to Ad Impact, broadcasting is still expected to see the most spending, with $5.1 billion, about half of it, followed by cable at $1.9 billion, about 18%. Connected TV is expected to total $1.3 billion, 13%, as voters continue to cut the cord and shift away from traditional forms of media. Reaching them regardless of consumption habits has become a main goal of advertisers, according to Ad Impact. Digital, meanwhile, is projected to reach $1.2 billion, led by Google and Facebook, and we know what they do when it comes to censorship during the political season, so oh boy, can't wait. In a landscape reminiscent of 2020, don't say that. Okay, the main targets of the presidential battleground map will once again be Pennsylvania, Arizona, a lot of disinformation down there. Georgia, you don't really know about that. Michigan, that'll be interesting. So you've seen some things go into place there. North Carolina, Nevada, and Wisconsin, but contested congressional races could shift the balance of power in D.C. Find the RNC, DNC, and others pouring money into those jurisdictions. And then also with the independent announcement of RFK Jr., I don't think he's going to, add all that much to it. Mostly, he's kind of doing the right thing when it comes to getting ahead and weaponizing the independent media space. nowadays by doing a lot of podcasts. But because, everybody's targeting the boomer generation, they don't know really how to get on the internet in the same way that they can just sit down, plunk their ass in a chair, and then just turn on a cable news and then think that they're getting all the information on the day. So yeah, we'll see if they end up pushing for RFK to actually hop in on any of the debates, because that would be interesting as well. But I love the admission. I love that the Hollywood elites start to at least realize that, yeah, the shit that we're putting out is absolute fucking garbage. And yeah, if you've been seeing an overt shift into more political content, yeah, it's for the reason. Because that's the only thing that sells, because, well, everybody who's just simply been writing in Hollywood over the past few decades only knows politics because they have no real world experience. So they only write what they know, and what they know is what they've been indoctrinated with at the places where they learned how to write. So now it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that the future of television is all going to be political. Something that they've made very, very clear for a very long time. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.